All right, here we go. All right, hello. We are
Happy
back.
New Year. It's been a
We
while.
we took a hiatus, but we are back. And we are starting a brand new series called Women Are
Women are
Liars.
liars.
And we mean that with all the love in our heart.
Is it good? Is it bad? These are the things we're going to dive into, our thoughts, and when we can, a little bit of solutioning around getting around being liars. Like, what does it mean? And um, yeah, how can we shift our mindset around these things that our observations are seeing
Right.
as we're liars a good
Right.
portion
And
of the
and we're not
time.
talking about not from your into we're not talking about somebody's integrity. We're talking about in a very worldview how we what we say and how do our actions and our words line up to what we're saying because we say things, but our actions and what we say on the other side can sometimes be completely different. And the one we're going to
Yeah.
start with today is grieving your youthful beauty because we saw a TikTok by a woman who I believe had just crossed over 40. She wasn't even, I mean, she was a baby 40 and,
Yeah.
and she was grieving the loss of her youthful beauty, having grown up, apparently, has always been told how beautiful she was. But now she's, got some gray hair, she's got some wrinkles, and she's going through
Not
grieving.
recognizing
Yeah.
who she sees in the mirror anymore, you
Right.
know? And yeah, for me, I'm not one to grieve, so I might not necessarily be the most sympathetic or best person for this topic, but I do find it interesting because to me, getting older is a bit of a gift. I mean, not
But
everybody
did
is
you always
guaranteed.
feel that way?
Well, I mean, I guess I always thought that 40 was so old,
Oh my
like
gosh.
when you're in
Do
your
you
teens
remember?
and
I
your
don't know, when
20s, right?
y'all were younger, when like elementary school, we used to try and predict how old we would be in the year 2000.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
I think we were in our 30s and we thought, oh my God.
So old. Yeah, well, and I mean there's a level of oh my God, like 40, because I don't think it's a thing so much anymore, or at least it's not a thing that I've noticed. But back when my parents turned 40, I would have been probably in my mid-teens, let's say, if I have to think
Mhm.
back. And everything around turning 40 was over the hill, right? Like the balloons and the plates and the
And you
like
had to
all of the
cut your
decor
hair. Women, yeah, immediately started
yeah,
cutting their hair and
all
yeah,
of the decorations were you're over the hill,
black. Yeah, it was
right?
awful.
And it was black. Yes, it was all black and white. And so I guess I grew up with this whole sense of like, ugh, getting
Yeah, what was it?
old,
What did you change
gross.
by getting older? Because you just get
Well, and
more.
your life is over. Like there was
Yeah.
some sort of like hidden
Yeah,
message
you
or
can't now say you
over.
have to change what you dress. You can't wear what you want to wear. You have to wear what you're supposed to wear. You supposed and then you got to change your hair, and then you can't just go do anything you want because women of a certain age don't do those sort of things, whatever
Right.
that
And
is.
so I guess I grew up with, yeah, that bit there. So I never really thought a whole lot about getting old. It was just something you didn't want to do. But the reality is everybody does. And so I think for me it was probably somewhere in my 30s that it was like, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's just everybody gets older. So, this whole kind of like I don't think I could have necessarily like voiced it that way, right? Like I've been in the coaching world for a long time now, and so you understand the whole mindset around these things. In my 30s, would I have understood that? Maybe not. I wouldn't have been able to voice it, but I still didn't necessarily see getting older as being a horrible thing. Like I
Yeah.
didn't feel over the
No.
hill or like I was approaching over the hill at
Yeah.
that point, right? I still felt young ish. I was playing baseball. Not even that wasn't even something I was doing in my 20s, and all of a sudden in my 30s now I'm out playing baseball and having fun and doing all of these things that I never really, I guess, imagined that I would be doing
Right.
as I am approaching over the hill.
Right.
um so yeah, for me the whole grieving thing is probably, well, to me, it just seems silly. Like, let's be honest. I'm not being judgmental of those
No,
who
no, you're
are
yeah.
grieving, right? Because we all feel how we feel about getting older. But to me, the idea of grieving your youth, I don't know. I was a dumbass. I don't know if I grieve going back to that point in
Well,
time,
yeah, that's
right?
the
Like,
thing. It's like with every, like I say, with every decade that I cross over, and you always think you've learned so much with every pass, but then you get to another one, you thought, I didn't know anything. The
yeah.
amount of wisdom you gain as you start getting older, which I know people think we're like trying to make ourselves feel better, sort of thing. But no, it's like when you get here and your world zooms out and you can see from the penthouse instead of the ground floor, you realize how much you didn't know about the world, about yourself,
How
about
much
other
you
people,
still don't
and
know.
how much you really know what you don't know, which is a lot, which makes it so much easier to not be judgmental, which we all are. Let's face it, ladies, we're all judgmental in our 20s and probably a good portion of our 30s because we can't imagine a world in which you get old. And
Yeah.
it's a good thing. We can't fathom
Well,
that
because
that could
we've
be a
been
good thing.
fed that you reach a certain age and you are useless,
Yeah.
or you're swept
Irrelevant.
aside. They need you to be a wallflower. Like, and it's all top down from these white men who have made all of the rules that are for men, not for us, and they all want the youthful beauty, and so we're just dirty rags
Yeah.
behind the kitchen faucet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we
But
don't
you're supposed to just
count,
be irrelevant and sit there and be quiet and don't take up valuable space that the pretty people could be taking up.
which makes sense then
Yeah.
that as women age, some, not all, but some are going to look in the mirror and not recognize themselves and then grieve what they had, because let's be honest, we all don't appreciate what we had
No,
either,
we
right?
really
So
didn't.
so
Oh
you
my
can see
goodness.
how there is a level of grief with that, but I think doing what we're doing with our mindset and our style and trying to get older women to embrace our crone era, I would challenge that grief. Is
Yes.
it really grief? Is it really, like, is it
Is it a
true?
loss? Is it a loss? Have
Is
you
it
lost
really a lot? Yeah.
something? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is
that's
it
where it's at.
really a
And so,
loss?
how does that make women liars? Because we, especially those of us in the women's empowerment realm, we're always all women are beautiful and telling women, strangers, on how telling them how beautiful they are. And if you look in the mirror and you don't think you're beautiful as an older woman,
Do
chances
you
are you
really
also don't think
believe
that
that
about someone
all,
else. Yeah, there's no
yeah.
way you believe that all women are beautiful if you can't look at yourself and say that. So, in that essence, we're lying. We want to believe that and we want that to be true, but do we believe it?
Theoretically, we believe it to be
Yes.
true, but on a visceral, cellular level, do
Yes.
we actually believe it? And
Yeah,
I'm going to say that we don't,
we don't.
because we are rushing, and obviously Dawn and I are using the collective we here,
Right.
because obviously not everybody falls under this, and so take from this what you will and discard the rest. But we are rushing to have the latest and greatest fountain of youth miracle serum or facelift, or I don't know, whatever, to recapture those bits of our youth that make us feel young and beautiful. You know, like, you see Pam Anderson, and I know what she's doing is not necessarily revolutionary, but she's ditched the makeup.
Yeah. And for
How
her, it
many,
was. For her,
for her it
the
was
way she
revolutionary,
was
but
in her younger years, it absolutely was. And it is for a lot of people, but for her, it was a huge change, which is why people went into shock when she dropped the makeup.
yeah.
And cut
And
her hair. They had something to say about everything.
yeah. Well, and that's another thing too, right? As you said before, like, when we are over 40, we're not supposed to wear certain things, and the whole no white after Labor Day sort of rears its ugly head, and all of a sudden, oh, I can't have long hair. So you find women rushing out and chopping their hair off, and it's like, but why not?
But why
Why
not? And
can't
who
we?
said? But
Right?
then we say our thing is all rules are made up, and they are. Who says?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't believe it, if you didn't believe that was a rule, you probably wouldn't be as inclined to follow it.
Well, or like me, I am a huge questioner of rules, and I always have been. Drove my
Yeah.
parents nuts, drove my teachers nuts. So it's not even about, like, if you want to follow the rules, follow the rules. Like, that's great if it makes sense for you. And I
For
think the
you,
point
yeah.
that we're trying to make here is recognizing that the rules are made up, but if it
It's whatever that is
feels
feels
right
good,
for
do
you,
it. Yeah.
you
How
know?
does it feel? That's what I'm saying. Does it still allow you to be you? 100% you, or are you having to be a version of yourself that's not, it's a little bit of you, but not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And then so you're sacrificing your life to fit into someone else's narrative of what a certain age is. And that's all
Yes.
we're asking women to do is come into awareness and question it. Because if you're
And
not
question.
happy with you,
Yeah.
it's probably because you're trying to fit into somebody else's idea of who you're supposed to be.
Which is what you're grieving,
Right.
right? Like, and so really just questioning the why are you grieving? Now, if you grew up, and I, for the life of me, cannot recall, I don't think I grew up with this at all. And so maybe that's why getting older was a little bit easier for me than maybe for others. But if you grow up as a young girl and you're told by multiple people over multiple years that you're pretty, that you're beautiful, that, like, oh, look at your face, oh, look at, like, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain, you're going to eventually tie your worth
Yeah.
to your looks.
Yeah. You do
And so,
differentiation between the two things.
yeah, so as you get older, things sag, we get wrinkles, and so all of a sudden, the thing that was your value, that you tied your worth to, if that starts to disappear, then I totally get there being something to grieve.
Right.
However, again, it goes to this story of um, value, worth, things that we're told, right? So, is there something else that we can tie our, like, even though maybe externally you don't see the beauty that you did in your 20s, recognizing that you are still beautiful,
Right.
just in a slightly different package, but that package is no less valuable.
Right. And I would just like, now my mother died when I was 32, so she's been gone a long time, but my grandmother was such a presence in my life. As she got older, it wouldn't have ever crossed my mind to just look at her as this old woman. She
Mm,
was the single most valuable woman in my life growing up. And I actually never even thought about her looks. Like not one time did I ever consider how
mm,
she looked, because that's not what I valued in her. It didn't literally, it just didn't even cross my mind. So, as we're going to be that age, whether we're grandmothers or not grandmothers, we're going to be those ages one day.
yeah.
And we need to be able to disassociate our physical appearance from our value, because we have a certain amount of control, which, and we're gonna tag this at the end. We actually did a whole episode on Chris Jenner and injectables
Yes.
and facial facelifts and things like that, which we gave people the numbers, which are absolutely staggering what we spend on the beauty industry, and it's mostly women, which is worth a watch because the numbers are absolutely staggering. But it's only good to a certain extent, and mostly only to your face. I would like to also say it doesn't apply to your whole body. So you're still going to, when you take your clothes off to take a shower, you're still going to see your body. They
Yes.
can't tighten everything. It's just
No.
not possible.
Even
As much
if
as
it was possible, would you really want
would
them
you
to?
really want
I don't
like
know.
zip marks all up and down? You would literally have to do it to your whole body to turn, and even still, you're
Yeah.
still getting older. It's not going to prolong your life, and it's not going to necessarily prolong, I don't think, your quality of life, not if you don't like yourself.
No, and I think for me, the things that, if I was being honest, there might be a marginal level of grief about my youth, but not in my looks. I mean, I think it might be more in the I didn't appreciate what I
You didn't
had.
appreciate it, yeah.
And um, I may grieve choices that I made,
Yes.
right? Like, it's not
Yes.
so much do I grieve how I look now versus how I looked then. It's more I didn't appreciate what I had then in terms of looks, but not like I'm so sad that I don't look like that
Something
anymore.
changed, yeah.
But no, it's more the choices that led me here
Right.
that I may
Which
grieve.
is
Like,
a
why did
whole
I do
other
that?
episode. We did an
But
episode on that.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be who I am without those choices. So, I kind of get these flashes of grief for something along those lines, the appreciation, the choices. But they all led me here, which to me, I don't think I have anything to grieve for.
Right.
But I don't believe I ever tied my worth to how I looked because I never thought of myself as overly beautiful or pretty, and that was never hammered home. I just was who I was, and compared to some of my friends, I might not have been as pretty, and I might have felt a little jealous about their looks from time to time. But me, myself, I think the only ever thing I grieve is this. I just wish I didn't have this.
Yeah.
I
Some of
can't,
the things that
you
start
know,
drooping everywhere, you're kind of really wishing you could figure out some way around
yeah,
that,
yeah. But
Yeah.
by and large, in the world that we live in now, yeah, I would say in my 40s, sometime between 35 and 45. I know that's a huge spread, but like I can barely remember what I did yesterday, let alone during that time of my life.
Yeah.
I think that's when I came to kind of appreciate getting older. And I appreciate it even more having spent now as much time as I have in the women's empowerment coaching world, right? Like there really is a maiden mother crone,
There is.
you know, um, part to our lives. And I'm enjoying this crone
I
era.
am
Like
getting the
I'm,
more the time passes, I am actually looking forward to getting a little bit older in a
yeah.
way because I've seen little by little you start feeling this liberation that you never could have felt in your 20s and 30s when you start really letting go of other people's opinions and how you show up and you're just doing your thing little by
Well, and
little.
watching that advanced style
Goodness, I
channel
love her
on
so much.
Instagram, like the amount of older women, because I don't think he's ever interviewed anybody that's below 60,
Yeah.
um how colorful they are, and like the don't get married, like
Yeah.
why, like how they've blossomed when their husbands have died or they've divorced, or and I mean, I'm not saying that they don't grieve the death of
The
their
loss of a
husband. I'm sure they
person,
loved
yes,
him
but
dearly.
they gain something in the process. It's like it's not
Yeah.
again. It's like everything's a balance. It's like if you normally when something is lost, something is also gained. Sometimes it takes us a while to have that perspective of what we gained, but generally it's the opposite. It's always the balancing between the 2 points.
That beautiful yin and yang, or yin
Yeah.
and yang, or whatever it's, yeah. Yeah, and grief is a funny thing, um people grieve for their animals. I can't say I've ever grieved for an animal.
Oh
It's
my
just,
goodness, and
it's a
I have
pet, right?
my yeah the animals thing. I will bawl my eyes out. It was just it yeah.
You grieve for your youth, you grieve for a child, you grieve for a husband. And I mean, it's all valid. We're not saying that the grief is not valid. It's
Right.
just, I think what we want to, I think the point where we want to make is, why are we grieving youth when there's
We just
so much more there, but we've been told this story that getting old is a bad thing?
Yeah, we just want to challenge the predominant belief that it is a bad thing. It's negative, that you don't have any more to offer, that you're all used up, washed up, whatever it is they want to say about we're irrelevant, we don't know anything, blah, blah, blah. We just want to challenge that belief because if you could just challenge it just a bit and shift it, even 1%, you might find that this might be the best season of your life. And that's what we're going
Well,
for,
and
so
also between the Gen Xers and the millennials, we are now going to make up the lion's share
yeah,
of the population. So it's kind of something like we should be rah, rah, rahing this.
yeah,
Instead, we're being told, nope, just go off into the sunset and you're no longer relevant. When the reality is, not only are we going to be the largest population pretty soon, but the most disposable income,
yeah,
that I think it's time we all kind of stood up and kind of did a big old FU to the patriarchy and the whole,
absolutely.
what do you mean getting old is not worthwhile? Like I don't know. I hit 50 and thought this is pretty awesome, you
Well,
know?
when I let go of, and I don't remember at what stage of my life it was, it's in the last probably at least 10 years, 15, is when I stopped factoring in men. When I
Hmm.
started factoring me first and everybody else after that, and especially in the dating world, when I let that go, a lot of that fell away. And you
Yeah.
may not even realize how much thought you're giving to what men might possibly think about you if you want to date. I have no interest in dating at this point in my life, but
No.
I is because I don't want to hear their opinion. I don't. And
No,
I don't know if
and
we
they always have
realize,
one. But again, I think this goes back to where the women are liars is um we have a lot of opinions. Like
yeah,
take men out of it. I mean, the men are
yeah,
the ones that make all the rules, but the reality is we have just as many rules and opinions. And do we have them because the men have been telling us this for years and so we've
yes,
adopted it? Are they rules that we truly believe? And like you say, it goes back to the whole we say all women are beautiful, but do we really believe that?
yeah,
You know? And so I think, I mean, there's no one size fits all solution, I don't think, but I do think that it starts with us and really taking a step back. Why are we grieving? What are we really grieving? And, like that whole 1% thing.
yeah,
What could I do differently today to make myself feel better so I'm not grieving, right? Like, is it putting on that makeup or that perfume? Like the other day, I don't even remember last time I put on a spritz of perfume. So I was like, oh, I feel like, put on a spritz of perfume and I was like, oh, it smells so nice.
yeah. And it's funny because
It
like a
just,
lot of times like people won't also they don't wear it because there's so many. You go out in the world and people have allergies. Well, why not just wear it at home?
yeah,
Just wear it for your again for yourself. For like
yeah,
say you did it, and you thought this is kind of awesome. I smell great.
yeah. Yeah. And it was, I was like, I mean, yes, I did go out and to be honest, I'm not the best at taking others into account when it comes to that sort of thing. It just doesn't always cross my brain. But yeah, I was like, I haven't worn a spritz of perfume in forever. So I'm going to put some on. And I felt really good. Kind of made my day because every time you turn around, you get a little whiff of it. And it's like, oh, that smells so
Yeah,
nice.
and it's like if you do feel like you're grieving the loss of your youthful beauty, try to identify what part of it you're grieving. Pinpoint what are you grieving. It's probably not that you're just getting a little bit older, but you've got that associated with something else. I'm not going to be able to get a job. There's no men who are going to want to date me. I can't go out to a club because all these other young women are going to be so much prettier than me. I'm just like trying to identify what you're grieving
Gray
exactly.
hair. Maybe you have some weird association with gray hair
Yeah,
and you're
like
starting to
what is
notice more
that?
gray. And yeah.
And then think of an older woman that you do respect and admire and figure out why you do that as well. And it's probably because you're not counting her physical beauty necessarily. It's her confidence you love, or just
Hmm.
her boldness, whatever it is, or that she's just a really amazing woman, whatever it is. It's probably if especially a really older woman, like the advanced style women we're talking about. These are really 70s, 80s, sometimes 90-year-old women.
Yeah.
And I think they look fabulous. And it really has nothing to do with their actual physical appearance. It's how they're
No.
showing up. To me, it's like,
Yeah.
they're so vibrant, and there's not a beige one in the bunch. Every once in a while we'll see a woman wearing all beige because that's her thing,
Or black. There's
or
a
black.
there's an
But
older black
most of the
woman that
time,
loves her black, but then
oh
she
my
throws on
goodness,
this
they
pop
are the
of
rainbow.
yeah, she throws on this pop of red and it's just like, oh, or like the black and white polka dots. And I just think, oh,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a little loud for me, I will be honest. And I'm
Well,
like,
it's
oh my
not
God,
just
I
not my
couldn't do
thing.
that. But
But
for
I don't know. I'm
them,
not 80 years old. It might be my
ex-
thing when I turn
well,
80.
exactly. And I
Because
think
there's
that's
that
kind of
oh
the
what
point.
the one woman who said she literally puts on everything she loves in one go. She's like, if
Yeah.
it makes me happy that day, it goes on. I'm like,
Well, and again, we're not there. And I think that's kind of the point we're trying to make is we are looking back. Like when you grieve, you're grieving what was because you don't know what's coming.
right, you're not
And
looking
what's
forward to
coming,
anything. Yeah, you think you're
yeah,
going to put it behind you.
and I think the grieving, again, not discounting grief, everybody grieves for certain
Yes.
things at different times,
And
but in this instance I see that grief as, and again, this is my opinion, I see that grief as being stuck, right? Like you've hit a certain age and you don't recognize what's in the mirror. And so now you're looking back going, oh, I miss those days, but you don't know what's coming.
but you don't
There
know
could be
what's
something
coming.
so
Yeah.
much better, right? But it's just you're stuck here right now. And you know what? Grieve. You've got to grieve, but don't get stuck there.
Yeah.
Recognize that every day is a gift. Like you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and do you really want to be worried about grieving your
Yeah.
20s?
Yeah.
It seems so, and for those who are into astrology, I am an Aquarius moon, which definitely tends to mean we are very kind of like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you grieving that? That'll make no sense, you know? And so we can be a little, you know, we can seem a
Yeah.
little stuffy, a little unfeeling. And I'm not saying that I am. I get it. We all grieve differently, but I do think most of it is because the higher ups, the white men who have made all of these rules, have made us feel this way.
And we
And
don't even realize where it's coming from. We're so
yeah,
used to it, we don't even realize where it came from to start with. Because if you had to question, why do I think being 20 is better than being 40, you probably, you can't come up with a reason that doesn't have something to do with men. Probably.
yeah. Even if you don't realize that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I was an idiot in my
Oh my,
20s. But I think
so
we all are because we have no
we're
life
supposed to
experience,
be.
right?
That's what I say. You're supposed to go through these different seasons so you can grow and evolve and expand. How awful would it be if you literally got stuck being 25? I mean, good God.
Oh, I
Seriously?
couldn't imagine. I mean,
Oh,
there are days where it's like, you know, it wouldn't be so bad to go back to high school, but I had a great
well, yeah,
high
we can
school
have a Freaky Friday
experience.
for a day, you know,
Yeah,
a day, maybe.
for a
I might work a
day.
full day, depending on what day it is. And just, you know, I might not want a class period, much less a full day, but
But I don't
yeah,
think you could pay me to go back.
yeah,
You know, like, yes, I made some dumb choices. Yes, I made some really stupid choices. We did some really dumb things, but I had fun.
yeah.
And I don't think any of if I had made any of those choices differently, would I be here right now? Would I have the kid that I have? Probably not. And my life ain't that bad.
And that's what it
So,
is.
you
Just
know,
make peace with what is, whether it was perfect or it had a lot of challenges, like a lot of our younger lives did. It happened.
hmm
And so, you know, you are where you are. You can, you know, there. Byron Katie has this book that's called "Loving What Is," and she said you're only going to be miserable if you're trying to argue with what is. If you can accept it, find something to look forward to, and move on, you're going to be happy. If you're
hmm
intent on looking back at what was and trying to change it, wishing it wasn't, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah,
And I think there is a
totally.
lot of truth to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the grief, right? I mean, losing a child, you're grieving
Yes.
what, like, you're not just grieving a shortened life, but you're grieving all of the things that you thought
Thought we're
were
going to
going to
happen.
happen, right?
Yeah,
Grieving your youth, you're grieving what you had, not looking forward to what is to come with the wisdom, with the whatever else, you know, that
yeah.
comes along with age. I mean, for me, it's the big fuck you to the patriarchy
Oh,
and really not
absolutely.
giving a flying fuck with what's going on, right? Like, you know, there is something about
I
turning
don't know if you
40
can
and
see
then,
my coffee cup. It says,
oh yeah,
"Well, the
it's
patriarchy
good.
is not going to fuck itself." So that's as far as I know today.
Yeah. Well, and um there is a level of not giving a fuck that you just don't understand until you hit your 40s and even in and even more so in your 50s, right? You know, well, and I made a video not that long ago about, and I've seen it come up probably for the last 5 or 6 years. Every Thanksgiving or every Christmas, I see this quote come up, and it's from Caroline Herrera, who's an amazing, you know, perfumist and fashion designer, and I love her stuff. But she firmly believes that women over 40 should not be doing X, Y, or
And
Z.
her big thing is like they
And
can't wear pants or they can't wear shorts,
it's
and it's like
jeans. She doesn't want
jeans,
them to wear
that's what it
jeans. It's
is.
they
Yeah,
can't wear jeans and they shouldn't have long hair. I don't know about the shorts thing. I imagine if they're Bermuda shorts, then she'd probably be okay with it. But she feels that any woman over 50 should have short hair and not wear jeans. And I'm sorry, but I my hair does not curl if it's short, so I like having longer hair so I get my
yeah.
curls. And jeans are my comfort outfit. I love a jean. You will never catch me in a day where I'm not wearing jeans. So, but who is she to decide that's how women over 40 should dress?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what we're doing. We're questioning everything because that's the way we're going to change the narrative and the story and the expectations for ourselves and for other women. is by questioning the rules that we didn't write. Because and I guarantee if Caroline Herrera went back, she doesn't even know why she thinks that. Because there's no
Yeah.
logical basis to it. There is no logical basis
But
to
it's
it.
also a certain level of privilege that can say that too, right?
Yes,
Because how many
absolutely.
people could wear dress pants every day and go to a soccer field with their
Yes,
kid or
yeah.
whatever, right? So,
Clearly, she didn't
yes.
go to soccer in the rain with her child wearing
Yeah,
linen slacks. Yeah.
right. So, yeah, we're saying grieve, like grieve. If you want to grieve for your youth, grieve for your youth. But I think our biggest message, it's not really a solution, but our biggest message is just question why.
Yeah.
Because there is so much more that's better on the other side of youth. The wisdom, the, free, there's a freedom in
Oh
it,
my goodness. Yes.
So, yeah, that's our biggest takeaway. We're not saying don't grieve, we're not being that bitchy, but it's just question it.
No. Anyway, we're trying to keep these a little shorter. So we're going to close out. This is part one of this same topic because when we pop in the next time, we're going to talk about what can we do about it? Because we can't leave you hanging. We have all the problems, and we're going to give you our opinion on what some of the
Some
solutions are.
solutions could be.
Could be, yeah, if people want to choose that. So tune in next time, and we will see you guys next time.